Governor Josh Green is taking a trip back to the nation's capital tonight, where he will meet with lawmakers on Capitol Hill. He joins us now with more on that, as well as other issues in our islands. Aloha and good morning, Governor. Thanks for joining us. What are you hoping to get done in Washington, D.C.?
So this time they've asked me to come testify at the Homeland Security Committee's standing, discussion about vaccinations and so on. So right now they're litigating whether or not the COVID response was authentic and whether it was needed. I'm going to follow 5 individuals that have been called by the majority, and then I'm going to rebut their testimony and talk about what we saw in Hawaii, how we came together, how we were careful with mask wearing. Vaccinations were at 90% in Hawaii versus 80%. We had the lowest mortality rate. We protected our kupuna. So I'll be sharing that information, and we'll probably talk about vaccinations in general, and we probably will also talk about Medicaid. I'm there to fight to make sure the Medicaid cuts are not severe for the country. So I will talk to all of the health leadership because that's important to Hawaii. So these trips, though painful to fly a red eye and then come right back, are valuable, I hope, to make sure that the country's healthcare system is intact and Hawaii's cared for.
Speaking of the federal government, federal budget cuts are impacting projections for our economy here in Hawaii. UHERO's latest forecast predicts a mild recession due to that. What are your thoughts on that?
That is a concern. So the tariffs, which are not fully kind of engaged yet, they've been up then down, and they're negotiating those deals. If the tariffs do cause a slowdown, we could see 2 or 3 quarters of recession, and that would affect us because if travelers don't travel, if they don't come to Hawaii, we're seeing a little dip right now in international travel. It of course could hurt our bottom line. The Canadians are mad, and I want to say to Canadians out there, I love you guys, I love Rush, and I love hockey. Please keep coming to Hawaii. We are not a part of that discussion. Hawaii does not want tariffs in general, and our small businesses don't need them. Again, that's something I'll try to impress upon the president, and I have already spoken with Treasury Secretary Bessent last week or 2 weeks ago, and I think it will settle down. But because of what has happened and because of the back and forth between China and the U.S., there is that strong possibility of a short recession.
Speaking of the federal government, Pohakuloa training area on the Big Island, big decision came down from the state on that. How do you weigh the environmental impact of the military here in the islands versus the economic impact, obviously a big economic driver that we do have here, as well as the cultural aspect of all these different areas that the military does use?
They're all top considerations. I wouldn't put one over the other. We have to have the right environmental assessment. That's why our Department of Land and Natural Resources folks felt that it was an inadequate assessment. That sends us to the next stage, which is how can we negotiate possibly a land swap that is beneficial to Hawaii. My feeling is there should be a smaller footprint overall, which is possible now with added technology. We do care deeply about our security presence in the Pacific. We also care deeply about the AINA, and most importantly, we care about our people, which is in this case the Hawaiian people, who will feel that we've not been thoughtful about them or their history if we don't cut the right kind of agreement. So all those things are in play. We have to be careful because now as we go to a possible land transfer or land swap discussion, we still have to be mindful of the environment, and we also have to make sure that we don't have the federal government just completely roll over us and take the land through eminent domain. So this is a complicated one. Again, I'm going to try to have respectful relationships with all parties, including the federal government, so that they don't take advantage, I guess.
Another nuanced issue is the proposed landfill site on Oahu. The state legislature shot that down in the recent legislative session. Not a lot of good options out there on Oahu for a landfill, but obviously the city government does want to get that out of West Oahu. Does the state have any ideas about what could happen, maybe with the federal government as a partner?
There are possibilities, but they haven't yet borne any fruit. So there was some discussion, and the mayor's done a very good job to reach out to the federal government side and say, look, are there any federal lands that we could use? And that's kind of an ongoing discussion. What the legislature said, they said after what we experienced with Red Hill, we cannot put any new landfills over potential water sources. The water table has to be kept pristine. The mayor's position is, look, the science is there. We don't have to worry, given how much security and safety will be put into kind of the layers to protect the landfill from seeping into the water table. We don't have to worry about any contamination. But people, and this has nothing to do with the mayor, who I love, people have a trust issue right now because of what happened with Red Hill, with the fuel that got into, our water. So this still has to be worked out. I don't know ultimately where the final site's going to be. I think we're going to have the legislature our team and the mayor, we're going to all have to sit down and look at what are the actual possibilities. And maybe the feds will include some kind of consideration for us as we deal with all of these big issues, whether it's Pohakuloa, the other bases across the state, the recovery from Red Hill, and our necessary landfill consideration. All that's on the table, plus housing. I've also added that they have to help us with our housing crisis because the military, who we respect, do consume a fair amount of housing in the islands, and that puts some pressure on our local families. On
a lighter note, the new Aloha Stadium Entertainment District, any interest so far on naming rights to that?
There is real interest. Now, that bill, we're reviewing it because there might be a couple technical concerns, and so we'll move through that. Now, I am going to definitely move toward using this opportunity to bring in resources and let someone name the stadium, maybe the Aloha Stadium powered by, and then insert, affluent individuals there. So I have had advanced conversations with a lot of parties. There are lots of possibilities. I am, deeply trustful of Kamehameha Schools. Perhaps they will be able to be a partner. I've also reached out to the Los Angeles Rams. I've reached out to some of the affluent individuals that have settled in Hawaii to invest in this area. It's also an opportunity zone, which means there's tax benefits for anyone who comes and builds housing and entertainment there. It does not look like gambling is the answer right now because that hasn't passed the legislature, and that's a couple years out. But I have met multiple times with Stanford. Look, the first phase of the stadium is to get rid of the old stadium. So you'll see the cranes and the destruction of the old stadium in August, November, in those months, August through November, and maybe even into the spring. Then phase one, build about 22 to 25,000 seats, very important. And they will have it set up so that as additional investment comes in, we can expand the stadium's capacity. It's going to be a long-term project. It will be extraordinary for our local kids, for the football team, for concerts. It's important for any state that is dynamic to have a venue like that. And I know that there's a lot of arguments on both sides, but we have to show, like we did with the climate fee, like we've done with Cal Poly, we have to show progress on big issues. And this is another one. So I'm excited to see the old stadium come down. That will be a signal that we are, making progress.
I've seen celebrity naming rights. I think it was the rapper Pitbull, named the stadium after him at FIU. The Rock, I imagine, would just be a cool name for a stadium. I don't know if he's willing to do it, but that'd be a cool one.
I texted The Rock. He and I are friends. If we wanted to call this thing The Rock, I think I'd have to be a yes. So, Rock, if you're out there watching, don't hesitate to give me a shout or a call because Hawaii loves you and we need the stadium.
Yeah, he goes by Dwayne Johnson these days, I guess, because he's a great actor, but The Rock is just the coolest name possible. All right, yes. Governor, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Safe travels to Washington, D.C.
Thank you.